This is the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and you've probably heard of it. It's an outrageous 13-mile long stretch of pavement in Germany that acts as a racetrack, occasional crash test facility, and even a public road. Yeah, you heard me, a public road. Well, it functions as a public road during some days of the year known as tourist days. And as far as public roads go, there is a serious case to be made that it stands squarely at the top as the best in the world. But what if I told you that in America, buried deep within the Smoky Mountains, lies another contender? That road is the Cherahalla Skyway, a public mountain road that runs across the border from Tennessee to North Carolina. Now, the Nürburgring standard is a hard one to live up to. It was literally designed to be a racetrack. But when you break it down by its elevation change, corner density, and its remote and almost nonsensical location, the two roads start to seem pretty evenly matched. In fact, I posit to you that with one major change, America could have its own Nürburgring. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Nürburgring was designed as a racetrack first, not really meant to get you anywhere. The Cherahalla Skyway is not the same. It's not a closed loop like the Nürburgring is, but a point-to-point road. In theory. Now, I say in theory because the strangest thing about the Cherahalla Skyway, and the reason I'm even making this video at all, is its confounding location. If you actually wanted to travel between its two endpoints, Tellico Plains, Tennessee and Robbinsville, North Carolina, you used to take a route that took 1 hour and 44 minutes. Now, with the Cherahalla Skyway, 1 hour and 24 minutes. Mind you, they spent $100 million to build this road, to save 20 minutes between two relatively small towns. Which raises a reasonable question. Why does this road exist? Well, the story goes that before the road was built, many of the small mountain communities wanted to be more connected to each other, as well as to the rest of the world. Issue was, all of the roads were super poorly maintained. We're talking dirt only, filled with potholes, etc., etc. In fact, the residents of Tellico Plains claimed that the roads were really only meant for, quote, covered wagons, and to prove their point, began trekking over the hills to the neighboring Murphy, North Carolina in actual covered wagons. By the way, the folks in Tellico Plains are still really into horses and covered wagons. So much so that they still hold an annual horse and buggy parade there every year. In fact, we were driving through there one time, me and a buddy, and at an intersection, there was us in the two Mazda Miatas, and across the intersection was a Lincoln LS. And at the third part of the intersection was a literal horse and buggy. I promise you that those three will never meet at an intersection ever again. And if you can prove me wrong, I will give you a crisp internet high five. Well, the government began to take notice of all this horse and buggy commotion, and probably smelling tourist dollars, began construction on a new scenic road through the mountains to North Carolina. $100 million, and 3 decades later, it was time for the tourists to come spilling in. Right? Well, it turns out that the Forest Service original estimation of 5 million cars per year was a little optimistic. In fact, today the road sees anywhere between 500 and 50 cars per day. That's light. So with the road finished, how did it stack up from a driving perspective? Can it stand up to the tall expectations set by the Nürburgring? Well, let's start by taking a look back at the ring. Famous for its rolling green hills in the German countryside, the Nürburgring has infamously earned itself the nickname of Green Hell. That's because in addition to spanning 13 miles, it also gains about 1,000 feet from its lowest to highest point. Now, let's take a look at the Cherahalla Skyway. This road is so engaging to drive that it actually won Hagerty's Road of the Year award last year. Why is it so engaging? Well, it gains over 4,000 feet over its span of 43 miles. Add to that it has around 200 corners. By the way, don't quote me exactly on that last figure. I literally just went on Google Maps and counted the corners individually, so. Now, where things get interesting is when we look at the number of corners per mile. Doing this high-level math gives us an average of about 5.5 corners per mile for the Nürburgring and about 4.5 for the Skyway. Now, the Nürburgring wins here, but the Skyway is certainly within throwing distance. Now, the last thing I want to do to give you a real sense of scale here is to take a look at this size-accurate map of the Nürburgring with its giant recognizable track layout compared to the Cherahalla Skyway. Now, I can hear you starting to type in the comments, oh come on, the Nürburgring is legendary, historic, how could you even make this comparison? And to be honest, I agree. At the end of the day, the Nürburgring is a dedicated racetrack. That just adds a certain level of cool that is hard to reach. The Cherahalla Skyway, contrastly, is really just a large, well-built road that's out in the middle of nowhere. But it doesn't have to be that way. What if we started using the Cherahalla Skyway as a racetrack? Okay, I know. It's a little out there. It was built originally as a scenic byway, a cruising road used primarily to enjoy the sweeping views of eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. And besides, there's no way that the US government would ever allow for any sort of racing. Allow me to introduce you to another famous sweeping scenic road in the US, Pikes Peak. You might have heard of it. Gaining over 7,000 feet throughout the road's duration, it hosts a world-renowned race every year called the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb that has been going on for well over 100 years. And it's awesome. Now, I want you to imagine, just for a second, an event complimentary to Pikes Peak every year, but over on the East Coast on the Cherahalla Skyway. Teams from around the world come and descend upon the Appalachian Mountains to rip across America's oldest mountain range. And this isn't just some crazy hypothetical. They actually already hold a hill climb every year just 4 miles away from the Cherahalla Skyway on the neighboring Centitla Road. It's called Chasing the Dragon, and it looks really cool. So yeah, the Skyway is a point-to-point road, while Pikes Peak is a one-way. But, as you'll remember, the alternate route for the Skyway only adds about 20 minutes, which starts to make this event feel a lot more possible. So, will the Cherahalla Skyway ever play host to a world-renowned racing series? Probably not. Between legal bureaucracy and the general opposition to racing and racetracks that has been widely prevalent as of late, the odds of a consistent giant racing event taking place at the Cherahalla Skyway are pretty slim. But that's okay, because what's really amazing is the fact that this road exists at all. Low traffic, perfect pavement, insane elevation change. It's almost like this road was built specifically for driving enthusiasts. Now, don't go out and drive it like a racetrack. The Tennessee State Patrol wouldn't like that very much. But take my advice as someone who has driven the road. It's remarkable. I mean, how many other roads exist out there that seemingly are built specifically for enthusiasts to get out and enjoy driving? So it probably won't play host to an amazing worldwide racing event every year. But if that ever does happen at the Cherahalla Skyway, please invite me. I would like to come.